Greetings, YouTube. You get poor lighting again, but you do get Mandarin, so I guess there's an upside to everything. I asked a couple of friends of mine, or a few friends of mine, what their first inklings in their life were that they were geeks. And most of my friends had experiences when they were young, some as long as, 7 and 8, even younger, with television shows. For example, my friend Greg and I both remember Star Trek. I remember first run. I remember seeing the 3rd season first run. I think he just saw it in reruns. And there was animated shows. He-Man was mentioned. There were science fiction television series other than Star Trek, Lost in Space. There was the Bond movies. There were other spy-type movies. There were, of course, written fiction and animated movies with, on a bigger scale. And, of course, when we got a little older, there were role-playing games. My friend Greg got into them first. He got me into them. So most of us knew at a very early age that we were geeks. In fact, I've showed it here, I still have my original Superman costume from when I was 6 or 7. It's probably worth something. And all of us very much feel that it was kind of in our blood, that it was going to be something that we would be attracted to. The technology, the fantasy, the whole 9 yards, all of it, the science fiction, the fantasy, they drew all of us in. And it became a very important part of our lives. I read a lot of novels when I was reading fiction. A lot of novels. And in summertime, I would frequently read 1 a day. I don't think I could do that any longer, partly because the books I read now are far longer than the ones I read then. And I just don't think I have the capacity to sit in one spot and read quite like I did when I was a kid. But it's all very much a reflection of the time we were in. Greg and I remember different things than my friends Skull and Kara, who were younger, and my friend Matt, who's younger. So it's very much a reflection of the eras that we were brought up in. But we all had similar experiences. Our exposure to television and animated shows and to fiction and even to coloring books and things like that, that all had kind of a geeky comic book bent to them, or fantasy or fiction or something like that, science fiction. So I'm come to you today to ask, what do you think is the foundation of your geekiness? Whether you're a fan of Doctor Who, or a role player, or all of the above, or you're just a science fiction fan, what do you think was the first thing that drew you in? For me, it was probably Speed Racer and Star Trek. Those are the things I think that were the most formative in my love of science fiction. And eventually I got into fantasy as well, but I was into science fiction at first and foremost. Other than the fact that, we all heard fairy tales when we were children. But the thing I glommed onto the most, I think, was science fiction. I liked that it had some kind of basis in reality, even if it was only tenuous at best. So, tell me, what is the foundation of your geekdom? Where do you think that first bit was inserted into your DNA and that now makes you the geek that you are today? Inquiring minds, and of course, Mandarin, want to know.